I got on this channel and said I had a miscarriage a few years ago when in fact I got an abortion. Let's talk about it. So I swore up and down I would take this to my grave. You know, we all got secrets we'd bury to the grave. But on this walk with Christ, I realized this could help someone not do what I did, because abortion is murder. And I used to be someone that was like pro-choice. If you out here being a little frisky and you need a plan B in the morning, go and take it, girl. That was me. Did it myself a couple times, and then this might be in two parts just because there's so much to unload, and I have to like brace myself because I never thought I'm like uncomfortable sitting in front of the camera saying this. I made a video basically lying on that person because it was easier for me to do that than to accept what I had done, if that makes sense. Then I buried it. When I tell you I buried it, I buried it. So let's take this back to when I got pregnant with Marcellus, with my son. I knew the second we did it that, like, when I got out the car, because you guys know I got pregnant in a car, and
I was not classy. I was shameless back in the day, okay?
It's a testimony, because your girl was, I've never been a hoe, but I was like a hoe. Do you know what I mean? So I remember getting out the car immediately knowing, oh, that's weird. I don't have a good feeling about this. And I didn't go and take a plan B. When something in me told me to do it, I decided not to do it. So fast forward, I'm pregnant, and if you guys know the whole story about how my son's father was so awful to me that I convinced him I would go to Planned Parenthood. And for those that are new to my channel, I went to Planned Parenthood. He picked me up. It was a Friday. I'll never forget it. And he picked me up. He was all happy-go-lucky. He thought, like, you know what? She's going to get rid of this baby, and I don't have to deal with her no more, because y'all know it's a side woman as well, because, you know,
Shameless was my middle name, okay?
External validation, needed it from anyone that would give it to me. So he picks me up, and the whole time he's blasting Jay-Z, having the time of his life, when internally I am conflicted. I mean, I knew I was not going to abort the baby, but I was like, God, can you please give me an alley-oop to get out of this situation? Like, how do I get out of this situation? I don't want to abort this baby. So we get to Planned Parenthood, and long story short, I had just done Bad Girls Club. Me and Danny were kind of popping at the time. I get into Planned Parenthood, and there's so many women. There were so many women. And I'm looking around, and I'm getting recognized. So I'm like on edge, because I'm like, I don't want people to post that I'm at Planned Parenthood. Like, no, no, no. So they put me in a back room. I'm in the back room, and they take my insurance information. They come back and say, sorry, we can't do the procedure today. I'll never forget Victor's body language. He like sunk in his chair like the world had legit ended. Like, that boy looked like the life got sucked out of him, okay? And he was like, what do you mean? Why can't you do it? Like, flipping out. Mind you, men aren't liked at Planned Parenthood. You bring a man up in there, they are enemy number one. So the women that were working there were like giving him the side eye, like, if this man don't shut up. So they were like, do you want to pay the $75 to do the ultrasound to see like what stage is at? He starts answering for me like, no, no, no. And I was like, immediately yes. So they bring me in the back, and I'll never forget it. It was this woman with like this pixie haircut, kind of butch-like. She was the sweetest woman. I cannot remember her name. And she gives me an ultrasound, and she's looking at it. I can't see anything. My legs are like this. And she's like, do you want to see the baby? So she sees the baby. It's like tiny, like a peanut, and you can just see the flicking heartbeat, right? And I'm getting emotional. So immediately I was like, oh, I'm a mom. Like, I am a mom. I'm gonna be a mom. So they print out the picture. We're driving home, and he's like hysterical, like, I'm not ready for this. I don't want to be a dad. And I looked at him, and I simply said, if you don't want to be around for this, don't be around for it. Like, God gave me this child for a reason, and I'm going to have to see this through. Like, I'm a mom.
I'm a mother. Mommy? Mamacita?
So I ended up having Marcellus. We all know he's here. He's 11. It's just me and my baby, right? So after experiencing Planned Parenthood that day, I told myself I never want to be in a position where I come back here. I don't want to have an abortion ever. And I always thought when I was little, I would find my husband in college. We'd have a beautiful house with a white picket fence, the kids everywhere. You know, like, you have this, society makes you think you're supposed to have it all at this certain age. And I used to dream about it. Guys. And I'll never forget, my dad found out that Sunday. We went Friday. Sunday was Father's Day. He found out I was pregnant, and this boy drove me to Planned Parenthood. And I'll never forget, my dad went through the 5 stages of grief. The 5 stages of grief. I mean, that man was in shambles. And he just wept and wept and wept. And then he was like, I have to go finish mowing the lawn. So, like, him and my mom, thank God, went out that night. And I remember I was so tired. The beginning trimester, I was, like, always tired. And my dad came in the room. He brought me Taco Bell at 12 in the morning. He was like, I'm going to talk to you in the morning. Have a snack. And I was like, okay. So the next morning, I'm getting emotional. Oh, my God. The next morning, my dad said, I'm against abortion. And he's like, I'm not super religious guy. My Nana was. He's like, I'm not a super religious guy, but I am extremely against abortion. No matter what the situation is, I'm against abortion. And it makes me sick to my stomach that this boy drove you into the city in hopes that you would abort this baby. He's like, as long as I'm alive, you will never abort a baby. And he's like, this boy is never going to show up at this house and give you a white picket fence. You're going to have to be a single mom. You're going to have to do it alone. Get ready. And he looked at me. I'll never forget. He goes, you were made to do this. If God didn't think you could do it, you wouldn't be doing it. And, oh, shoot. I'm already crying. I haven't even told the story yet. So I'm like, okay. We're definitely going to have to do 2 parts because I don't think I'm going to be able to get through this. Oh my gosh. Okay. Get it together, Abby. So, anyways, I have Marcellus, and I told myself I would never ever be in a position where I would have to get an abortion. I spoke too soon because the Lord knows, and I know a lot of people will sit here and say, well, it's a fetus and it doesn't count, it's not alive. It is alive. God knew our children before they knew us. I went 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Oh my gosh. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. He knew us before we were born. He has a calling on each and every one of our lives. We are all here for purpose. So this is gonna have to be done in 2 parts. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, I didn't really think I would get this. Like, my insides are turning right now. I ended up getting pregnant a few years ago, and I knew after this particular time we hooked up, just like I knew when I hooked up with my son's father, something was off. I was like, ooh, okay. I'm feeling like I did when I got pregnant with Marcellus. And so I waited, and my period, I do the period tracker, and my period and that app is never wrong. Like, never wrong, never wrong, never wrong. And I waited for when my period was due, and then it was 1 day late. And then it was 2 days late, and I just knew. I was like, oh, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant. So I called my mom. She's at work, and I call her, and I said, hi, Mom. She's like, what? And she knew something was wrong with me, and I said, I think, and before I even said, she goes, you think you're pregnant? And I said, well, how'd you know I was going to say that? My mom, if she tapped in with the Lord, which I wish she would, like, I pray for her salvation, because that woman, I know, has the gifting of spirits, because when I got pregnant with Marcellus, she had a dream. Like, she can prophetically dream. She had a dream about water, and in that dream, she saw a baby, or something of the sort. I don't really remember. And she had that dream again when I got pregnant again. So she goes, I had the same dream. I had the same dream. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry. Lord. Oh. I'm supposed to film with Danny after this, and I just don't know. Okay. She goes, I had the same dream. I had the same dream I had when you got pregnant with Marcellus. And I said, what do I do? She goes, well, go get a test and we'll talk about it, but don't talk about it in front of anyone. And I said, okay. So I take a test, the test right away, just like with Marcellus, within like 10 seconds. I didn't even have to wait the 2 minutes pregnant. And so I go to my mom, what do I do? She's like, do you really want to be pregnant? I mean, do you really want to have another baby with a guy you're not even with, who's not going to treat you good? You're going to be doing this alone again. You're going to be raising 2 babies alone. And I was like in my mom's house. I had like no solid income. Yeah, I was making decent money on YouTube and stuff, pretty decent money. But like I had nothing to call my own. And I was like, yeah, she's right. This dude don't like me. He literally does not like me. We're toxic AF. And what's he gonna do? He's gonna hate me. He's gonna hate me. He's gonna hate me. So, if he doesn't already, like he does already. So mom was like, call Planned Parenthood if this is what you want to do, and make an appointment. So I said, all right, let me think about it. And she was against me having another baby. Like, so was Danny, because I told Danny. So was Danny. I wasn't saved at the time, you know, like I believed in God, I knew of Jesus, but I was not living like that. I was for the world, literally for the world. I called Planned Parenthood. They said, how long has it been since your missed period? And I said 2 days. I took a test and they were like, well, you have to wait, let's wait for like at least 2 weeks to make your appointment. And I did not want to do like the surgery because there was an option to have abortion at home. And I was like, I want to just have the abortion at home. I don't want to have a surgery. So I made an appointment. My mom took the day off, told no one except my sister. Danny's in Cali. She couldn't be there. So my mom drives me into the city and we pull up, we're parking, and she's so affectionate and she's so understanding because, you know, people on my mom's side of the family, it's like a history of abortions on my mom's side of the family. I don't really know about my dad's side, but I know on my mom's side there's a history of abortion. So she was super understanding and compassionate, and I was like beside myself. So we get in there, and I was like, God, and this is how effed up I was. I was like, God, let my card be wrong again if you want me to have this baby. Because I was thinking like he'd make it stop by any means. So we go in, they put me in the back again because I requested right away, and the insurance went through. And so I was like, okay, so I'm not supposed to have this baby. So they asked me to go in the back to do my blood work. I'm sitting next to this woman and she's hysterical. I'm hysterical. And one thing about me, I always, I feel so compassionate about other people. So I was looking at her crying, and for a second I forgot about like my own sadness. And I looked at her, I never asked her name, and I just said, you're gonna be alright. And she looked at me and she said, I just don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And I said, I don't know either. And we held hands for like a brief second. and they took her away. And I remember just like looking around and thinking like, this place is so creepy. I never thought I'd be back here, and yet here I am. So they bring me in a room. I get an ultrasound done. I don't want to see the baby. I don't want to see it. But I have them print a picture. I don't know where that picture is. I don't know where that picture is. And then they brought me in a room with my mom. And they were going over everything and asking me why I didn't want the baby. There was not a solid reason why, except this will be a bad situation. I'm gonna end up raising 2 kids alone. And then I'm gonna be just stuck. I'm gonna be a statistic. I'm gonna be a statistic. And they gave me the pills. And they were like, you're gonna pass the baby at home. And I said, okay. Jesus. I'm so sorry. So, I go home. I'm really nervous. Like, I can't even begin to sit here and tell you. It was probably the Holy Spirit. I did not want to do it. So I end up just waiting for the time to go by to pass the baby. And they told me everyone's body's different, but you could end up getting really sick, you'd have intense cramping, you'd end up passing the baby, and you'd feel it. And I remember we were watching a movie, me, my mom, Marcellus. And I remember looking at Marcellus and thinking, God wanted you here, why didn't he want this one here? Blaming God. Even though everyone, just a friendly reminder, everyone has free will. So, I looked at him and I felt this immense of regret. Like, I can't even begin to tell you the amount of regret that came over my body, shame and guilt, and I already didn't like myself, so this just didn't help. And I went through hours of just like, it felt like I had the flu. It felt like I would get hot then really cold, and then all of a sudden I ran to the bathroom and I sat on the toilet and just started like kind of wailing. My mom came in and I passed the baby in the toilet. I passed the baby in the toilet. And the tissue was shaped like a little fetus. I remember just sobbing in my mom's arms. And she told me, it's alright. It's alright, you did the right thing, you did the right thing, you did the right thing. I didn't do the right thing. I didn't do the right thing. So, I was really struggling with my mental health. After that, and I sat on my YouTube channel, and I lied. I lied. How I was feeling mentally in that video was facts. I was mentally not doing well. But the circumstances to it, lies. All lies. So I buried it. Me and Mom agreed never to tell anyone. Especially not my dad. And before I got saved in April of 2024, me and my mom beefed. Well, like before I moved out, me and my mom got into a really big fight. And she promised me she'd never tell my dad. And she looked at me and she threatened me. She goes, well, wouldn't your father like to know what kind of person you are that you got an abortion? And I remember thinking, my mom hates my guts. My mom hates me. And she didn't mean it. Because we all say things we don't mean when we're mad and don't have regulated emotions, right? So I was so scared she'd tell my father, so I texted my dad and I said, hey Dad, do you think we can meet up so I can tell you something? And he was like, what's going on? I was like, I just need to talk to you. And I met up and told him I had an abortion. And he was not happy, but he didn't come at me. He was more upset with the fact she threatened to tell him. He's like, I wish I didn't know, because my dad is very against abortion. So I'm going to lead you into why. I'm going to end the video here because I actually mentally need to take a break. I'm going to lead into the next part of this video of what made me speak on this and come forward, and how I broke the chains of abortion in my life and hopefully off this bloodline. So stay tuned for part 2 and bear with me because this is just if you're thinking about getting an abortion right now, please don't. Please don't. And I'll explain everything in part 2, but please don't. It's a sign you're seeing this video if you're contemplating having a baby or getting rid of a baby. It's your sign to keep the baby. Keep that baby because God knows its name before you do. He knows your baby before you will. Don't do it. Don't do it. I love y'all, but I need a break. I need to take a time out. So with that being said, I love y'all. Be kind to each other, but especially yourself, because ain't nobody got you like God got you. Bye.